Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Beyond the Summit presentation. We're bringing you guys a game from the WePlay.tv series, the group stages C. Team Dignitas going up against Kaipi here. It is going to be a best of 3 series, and it's going to be a pretty interesting one in my opinion. Both these teams, although they're kind of halfway across the world from one another, are really balanced out, in my opinion, as far as their individual skill levels. And as a team, obviously Dignitas has a little bit more experience there. Snake King has been kind of in and out. He left the roster for a while, finally found enough opportunity to come on in and solidify his role there in the mid, but Kaipi has been practicing, actually causing a couple of upsets here and there, and I really think that they can bring a lot to the table when they're having a good day, so that'll be interesting to see here. I myself am Blaze, if you guys don't know me, and I'm here with my co-caster, Skim. How's it going, man?
Hey man, I'm looking forward to this matchup. Both teams playing very good in the past weeks and days, and I'm excited for this. I'm really excited, especially seeing the first ban being a gyrocopter, so we can definitely expect some, I suppose some, even a pocket strat maybe, just to bait something out.
Yeah, actually, the gyrocopter is one thing that Dignitas has been running a lot recently, where they almost always first pick it and give it to Aoi, like guarantee it. Like that's pretty much been their strategy for the past week, is whenever possible, get the gyrocopter. And I think there might be an aspect of that where they're actually trying to bait out that ban, trying to say, okay, well, we're going to run gyrocopter so often, teams are going to start thinking it's a core aspect of our strategy. And as soon as they take it off the board, they open up so many other heroes. Right now, they've taken out the IO themselves. But with this last ban, Kaipi has like 3 or 4 major heroes that are very decisive in certain lineups. And pretty much after Kaipi makes this decision here, Dignitas has their pick of the litter as far as how they want to proceed. Of course, they do have second pick, whereas Kaipi does have first pick. So we're probably going to see 3 top 3 heroes on the field. But in that sense, Dignitas obviously gets the opportunity to pick up the second and the third, whereas Kaipi only selects 1.
Yeah, you're right. And I gotta say, even if they take out the gyrocopter, Aoi has so many heroes he's so good on. His Tiny, he had a win streak of like 19 games where he went undefeated. He only got defeated like yesterday or the day before that. And there's still the Lone Druid, one of his favorite heroes as well. So yeah, they definitely have a big variety of heroes they can rely on. And Kaipi taking out the Nyx Assassin, don't want to play against that. I barely see any team really wanting to play against the Nyx Assassin. Just the constant pressure of that, that ganking potential with the Vendetta, of course, is something really annoying to play against, and I totally understand why they ban it. And as you mentioned, there's still so many heroes left in the pool that both teams are very comfortable playing with. I wouldn't be surprised to see Team Dignitas actually not picking some high-valued heroes such as the Keeper of the Light or even the Batrider. I really think they like the Darkseer pickup.
Yeah,
they're one of the teams that prefer Darkseer very much.
Yeah, Universe can run that Darkseer extremely more powerful, and that's definitely something they could build something around really well. I love the Batrider ban, though. I think it's exactly on point. Whether just difficult for Snake King to win out the mid in a 1v1 situation there, or worrying a little bit about Bone 7 and his offlane Batrider. We've seen that a couple times when I've casted Kaipi previously, and Bone 7 on his Batrider, he actually makes some big plays, but sometimes goes a little bit over-aggressive, balls to the wall, but in general, he does really pick people apart individually. We do see the Magnus come on out here, and so that's kind of, he has still that AoE initiation control similar to how Darkseer works, but he adds in a little bit of extra disable, a little bit of extra follow-up damage on with that. So a great hero in general. He does have his limitations, but unless Team Dignitas really counterdrafts against him, he's going to relatively have a great time trying to find his Blink Dagger, and then after that making sure the team fights happen on their terms.
Yeah, I think Dignitas feel comfortable giving it away. I mean, Arise is, they do have to be aware of the fact that Arise is one of those players that can make big plays happen. I remember one big team fight against, I think it was Mouse Sports, where they got a 5-man RP into the 5-man Void from the anti-major. Was just a huge play. And but yeah, once again, Team Dignitas, I think they're comfortable with giving that away because Snake King is one of those mid players that knows how far he can go with any hero that he plays with. And I wouldn't be surprised if they picked up the TA at some point earlier so that it doesn't get banned. But then again, Snake King does have also a lot of heroes he's very comfortable with.
Yeah, a lot of different options there. So that'll be interesting what we end up seeing along with that. But with the Gyrocopter banned out, the AoE damage follow-up rests on a completely different set of heroes. Right now, they don't want to offer carry selection. They're going to leave that for a little bit later. But I could honestly see Kaipi picking up one of many AoE damage dealers and then just ban out the remainder. So, I mean, Luna has the Glaives, which can cleave on through pretty well. Of course, the Sven has an amazing potential with his Great Cleave. Along with that, the Shadow Fiend is commonly seen being picked up with the Magnus. You can actually go and see the Requiem come on out and just dish out a ton of damage there. But I think Dignitas did the right thing here by picking up that Rubik as a counter draft, trying to make sure that the Magnus doesn't really have his best opportunity to over that reverse polarity. Anytime that Rubik is not clustered in the group, it actually is much more of a weakness than a strength for Magnus to initiate on the cluster, because Rubik will always be able to turn around, or very, very frequently be able to turn around. And that, in part, I think is what how this Bane pick has to come into play here. Essentially, the Bane can lock down the Rubik with a Nightmare or a Fiend's Grip while the Magnus works up against the rest of the team. So they have that kind of dual focus, and along with that, Bane is amazing in the lane. He can put out a lot of pressure, start off with a Nightmare, and set up tons of different combos. I mean, you can go with a Light Strike Array, a Split Earth, Keeper Light, and his Illuminate. Great options there. And with this pickup right here, the Magnus most likely on the mid, and then the Bane and the Keeper Light on the safe lane, it sets up so many great carries where Team Dignitas is going to have to ban out a ton of carries, and I think they're going to have to actually go for a third pick carry, otherwise they're going to be deprived of a lot of different options. So possibly something along the lines of a Life Stealer, but Bane and Magnus, pretty solid counters anyways.
Yeah, I totally agree. I wouldn't be surprised if Team Dignitas pick up just a Lone Druid. There's a safe option, Aoi likes to play it, is very comfortable with it, is very good with it either, and yeah. I wouldn't be surprised also if Kaipi played an aggressive troll lane. They have done that in the past so often, where they just play this mouseboards kind of lineup with a safe lane anti-mage farm and then aggressive troll lane with a secondary carry. And so far they've always played a Bane in that aggressive troll lane, so I actually expect them to pick that up unless Team Dignitas ban out that anti-mage.
Yeah, that's true. But they do pick up the Lone Druid, and I think that's a really solid pick. It gives them a lot of different functionality. The split push, so they can avoid the 5v5, which they generally won't be able to work with very well until Darkseer's at least level 11. And in that sense, they also kind of secure a little bit of their late game. Like I said, Team Dignitas is going to have to ban out the Phantom Lancer here, along with a couple of other mana-hungry carries that love to be supported by those two very defensive supports. So in that situation there, if Team Dignitas is banning out carries and Kaipi takes one or two off the board themselves, they're not going to have too many great options to be flexible with. But right now, just banning out the mid options. They're worried about the solo snaking, and why shouldn't they be? Snaking is pretty much the linchpin in their lineup as far as gaining early momentum, gaining early pressure. With a puck, with any real gank-oriented mid-hero, can do so much. So many great plays and make things happen for them where they actually start getting the kill advantage before that of the opposition. And from there, they can just kind of lay waste and kind of ride the train of gold and experience advantage to victory there. We do see Phantom Lancer ban coming out, but that's pretty much to be expected.
Yeah, also the Puck ban out. Puck is one of those heroes that can actually break your combos. If you blink in for an RP and get silenced before you actually get a spell off, that just screws with with the whole game plan effectively. And with heroes such as Bane, such as Magnus, and I expect, well, depending on what they're playing on picking up next, you really want those combos to work, especially against such heroes like Lone Druid, Darkseer, who are really tanky and rely on that burst damage on those lockdowns to actually put them in one place. And yeah, that's why I also like the Warlock ban, because that's also one of those heroes that can actually make that can break your combos. And
yeah,
I actually haven't seen a Warlock pickup from Dignitas in some time. Actually, since Sneaking joined them, I haven't seen him play Warlock mid.
True.
I've only seen Fog play Warlock mid.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
I've yet to see Sneaking.
Yeah, it was kind of a pocket pick for them for a while. Fog was always running it on the mid lane, and actually picked up on the off lane a couple of times. You can kind of go for that stats and heal build, but there's a lot of utility in that hero, and although they haven't picked it up recently, I have no doubt that they could make it work for a solid lineup. What I'm more interested about right now is this Ursa ban. This is something that Eternal Envy ran in a previous matchup. I didn't see it myself, but I heard a lot about it, and I'm trying to remember if they were saying that it was like a solo mid Ursa that bottle crowed like crazy, or something along those lines. I don't know. Eternal Envy plays the carry, and he did play the Ursa in that specific time period. Apparently they were threatened enough by it that they don't want to have to deal with it in this specific environment, so they have the bear on their side, the lone druid, and they don't want to have to hand one all over, because if anything, we've learned anything from the DreamHack Invitational, it's that bears don't give a fuck, and you really, really have to watch out for that. So in this case here, the Ursa has been banned out, a very unorthodox pick there, but like I said, they're banning out carries once the Eternal Envy would want to draft Phantom Lancer first and foremost, but the Ursa and the Anti-Mage also taken off the board, so there are less options for Kaipi Gaming here, but I could still be perfectly fine with seeing a Lifestealer pickup. It's such a strong hero, and although they won't have much Nakes Bomb potential until the Blink comes online for the Magnus, they will have just a huge amount of potential to right-click up. The Entangle proc will come on through, the Surge can help them kite away, but beyond that, just having to draft up against a Lifestealer, if you get Bane to go for a Fiend's Grip, if you get a good, halfway decent polarity, Lifestealer is still going to be on point to get a lot of great right-clicks in and feast away on things like the high HP Lone Druid.
Yeah, definitely. To pick up on something you just mentioned, the Ursa game you just mentioned, that was a 1v1 against gods. But he did run that Ursa in the G1 League qualifiers, where he got, I think, like 18-0 at some point. And he was just really stomping the enemy team with his Ursa, and eventually they even won 4v5. That was during those DDoS attacks. So yeah, his Ursa is definitely strong.
Was it run as mid or as a carry?
No, it was definitely just normal carry.
Okay,
it wasn't in 1v1 situation.
Okay, so I mixed up the two. I mixed up the 1v1 and then I mixed up with the G1 carry Ursa.
Yeah.
So, there we go.
But still, yeah, Envy really likes those heroes, and those two bans, Ursa and Anti-Mage, they're directly directed at him. And Alchemist pick out, wow.
Yeah, that's a really fun pick. I mean, AoE 2000 loves to go towards late game oriented carries. I mean, that seems like a bit of a misnomer, but it's actually extremely true point in this sense. When you look at what AoE 2000 likes to pick up, I mean, there are a bunch of high profile mid game carries. They're ones that have a lot of presence about the 35-minute mark, and Alchemist is a little bit later than that. He's slated around the 40 to 45-minute mark when he hits about 5 slots or 6 slots in items. He gets a huge advantage of gold really, really quickly, and he puts it to work. He does some gank-oriented play with Shadowblade, potentially early on, and that could be really, really good for putting pressure on Void, who's pretty much the anti-carry when it comes down to that late game. But yeah, in general, I think the Alchemist is a great pickup. It fits Aoi's playstyle. He just wants to farm, and eventually, yeah, he'll find enough items that he can really make a dramatic impact on the game. Especially once you see that Basher, along with some attack speed items come up. I mean, 1.0 base attack time, who can argue with that?
Is it actually going to be Aoi, though, that's playing the Alchemist? I mean, he's typically the Lone Druid player of his team. I'm actually not sure if any of the others is that comfortable with the Lone Druid. And also, Alchemist could be run as a support. Mousesports has been doing that for the past weeks quite often, and quite successfully, actually. As some sort of minus armor strat, but...
This will be an interesting match, one way or another. We'll have to see exactly who picks up what, and it is actually going to be Aoi on the Lone Druid. So Universe is going to be running the Alchemist, and I think that we might be... I don't know.
Yeah, I guess it's going to be a way too sexy in the jungle as a Darkseer, and just safe lane Universe, farming with the Aoi on the off lane. And just
that makes the most sense.
About right.
Yeah, I mean, right now they picked up 3 heroes that love solo lanes. They picked up the experience-reliant Lone Druid, Storm Spirit, and Darkseer, and so that kind of threw me a bit for a loop, but you're right. Way 2 does take a lot of solo heroes and run them in the jungle. The Nature's Prophet is pretty much almost exclusively running the jungle when he picks it up, so that's definitely a very, very true assessment, and yeah, I could definitely see Way 2 just opting for that. It's a little bit weaker in their lanes, but is much, much stronger in getting that good experience spread out, and if they can pull it off without too many issues, they'll be in a pretty good spot. The one thing I'm a little concerned about, though, is we've seen time and time again that if you don't gank up a Magnus, and he does get some decent items early on, then he is going to be able to put out a world of hurt in the mid game. It's going to be very, very devastating once that Blink Dagger comes online, and right with a Darkseer roaming around in the jungle and being on half-life all the time, I really don't know if he's going to have the stability to actually directly contest the Magnus in mid, and from there, the team fight from Kaipi is actually extremely scary. You charge up a Keeper of the Light Illuminate, where when you have somebody trapped inside Cogs with the Clockwork Ultimate, you follow that up with a Chronosphere or a Reverse Polarity. I mean, you have so much lockdown in a massive AoE sense that I really feel that Kaipi, most of the fights in the mid game will be theirs to lose as long as they have the Blink Dagger on the Magnus.
Yeah, I think Kaipi has a good lineup in terms of, yeah, as you mentioned, teamfight potential, and they are not as heavily reliant on their farm as Dignitas is, because if you think about it, Alchemist and Lone Druid without much farm, they're not really that effective. Whereas you have the Void with the Chrono, he doesn't need more, the RP as well, and then you have those supports that deal a lot of damage even without any items whatsoever. So, yeah. I guess I think this is really a game where Sneaking has to make room and space for his team to shine, and it looks like actually Waits is actually, oh no, he's just warding. I was just thinking maybe he's jungling in the enemy jungle. That would be ballsy.
Yeah, that would be interesting. But just blocking off this ball, making sure that it won't spawn, and they don't have to worry about the Lone Druid getting zoned out too much. But that's actually not the assessment of the laning situation. We're kind of seeing a little bit of a pub lane assessment with this kind of 2-1-2 type action going on. We do see a little bit of pressure in mid. Snaking actually getting a great Remnant right click off of Rise, taking so many hits right here. He's 100 gold away from his bottle, but having to tango up already, he might miss out a couple creep kills that he desperately needs. The Shockwave generally allows him to clean it up and find his farm, but yeah, Snaking doing work on him, and Rise has to be very, very cautious about how he proceeds from here.
Yeah, I gotta say, this is smart laning from Kaipi. They just automatically read that this will be a dual lane from Dignitas, so they put up a dual lane of them, for themselves. And I think they can definitely contest this.
Wow, actually, Universe in a bad spot. That's a really nice Cogs, really nice Illuminate. He's not going to die, I don't believe, but man, they're putting pressure out. And actually, the last right clicks, they probably will get him. Tower Shield, no, the salve will come on through and he will survive, but man, that was, yeah, just a simple Cogs, a simple Illuminate. I was about to ask how you think that 2v2 fares, but in this situation, the second Rubik leaves to mess around with the neutrals, they're putting huge amounts of pressure right out on Universe.
Yeah, exactly, and they have so much damage with the Cogs, with the Illuminate. This is so much burst that even an Alchemist cannot handle before he hits level 6. And Fork, there's only so much he can do. I mean, of course he has telekinesis, but yeah, they can even go on him if he's not careful. And yeah, this is again smart laning. And on the bottom lane, they actually just feed Zizou with his sleep on the bear to actually prevent Aoi from getting into the XP range. And just as I say that, he's in XP range.
Yeah. They put pretty much, he's got the creep room exactly where he wants it. He's underneath this tower, relatively safe, while still being able to right-click down on the creeps and that kind of thing. We just see a Rise roaming on around to pick up that regeneration rune, but it seems like Snake King could care less. He's going to go for the Bottle Crow immediately. Now, they do not have a Flying Courier, whereas Kaipi does, but actually, as I say that, they switch that up entirely. So he's going to be in a good position to restore, and it really seems like he doesn't care to directly contest the runes. He just wants to control the lane extremely effectively, and so far seems to be accomplishing just that. Right now, 9-4 compared to the 6-3 of Arise. It's something you'd expect in the range versus melee matchup here, but nevertheless, I really think Snake King is putting a lot of pressure on Arise that makes him a little bit more uncomfortable as far as how he'll proceed from here.
Yeah, definitely.
Actually, on top, Bone 7 pull back. No, they won't be able to follow it up. I thought Concoction might be charging up, but it's actually on cooldown from having already been used.
Yeah, that's the problem from Dignitas. They actually don't have as much potential to kill someone, unlike Kaipi. Really, they can go on Fog right here.
Yeah, a couple right clicks, a quick Illuminate charge. They might be able to get first blood just from this. He has to dodge it perfectly. No, he's going to connect. And that's going to be the first blood. Going the way of Pylite. Really, really smooth opportunity. They used the rocket, got vision of him in a really bad spot, and took advantage of it.
Smart play right here. And that was also a crucial ward that they had. They knew that he was still there. So they just went on him.
Yeah, Rise is an interesting spot. He was able to get the skewer, but not on snaking himself, just getting himself in a good position. Got a few right clicks, got a shockwave off, but the bottle keeps snaking up, and yeah, he is caring less. He knows exactly how durable he is right now, and although you can't generally say that about Storm Spirit at level 6, since there's no roaming going on him, he doesn't really feel like he's going to be dropped down anytime soon.
Yeah, and Rise, he can be this aggressive because who wants to rotate in aside from the Rubik, who was just dead? Oh, top lane. Oh, looks like he's just going to stun. Oh no, he's
yeah. Bone 7 will take a few tower hits right here. Will actually almost do enough damage. Very, very close indeed. 36 HP is what he walks away with there, and yeah, that was actually impressive timing from Universe, getting the stun while he's still in the tower aggro. I don't think that should have happened. I think he should have been able to, A-click a creep after being the lower priority target, but, it doesn't matter. In the end, Clockwork was forced back and is going to have to regenerate. We actually see coming on in, Fog dueling out with Pilaite, but there's so many creeps in the way that he's not going to be able to accomplish too much. Meanwhile, in mid lane, we do see that Arise was able to get a snipe off with this skewer, bringing down Storm Spirit because he really is immobile until level 6. So a little bit of overextension. I was saying that he felt comfortable with his position, but you have to respect how much burst that Magnus can do in the right situation.
Yeah, and sneaking, I mean, he even turned around a bit, just he thought he might actually be able to kill him by pulling him into the tower range, but no. Magnus still does a lot of damage with that shockwave, as you mentioned, and yeah, sneaking, he really has to be careful because we mentioned in the beginning that Arise, as soon as he gets that early blink dagger, he can make something happen for his team, whereas sneaking, he really needs actually a bit of more farm to get an Orchid, or, well, yeah, I assume it's going to be the Orchid. He really needs that as fast as he can.
Yeah, very common pickup for Snecking to pick up the Orchid. It allows him to gain momentum, play very gank-oriented, and really shut down the Magnus as far as initiation. I mean, you can use it on the Bane during his ultimate, so on and so forth as well. But really, the big deal in that situation is just to make sure that you can have some lockdown and be able to play really aggressive in a single-man gank, or go in for the team fight and add that utility. Either way, we did see actually Alchemist dropping down to critical HP, around 30 HP once again on that top lane, and actually the Clockwork Rocket just barely missed. That rocket does 80 damage at rank 1, so it would have been enough to bring him down, and that is very careful. He has to be very careful in those kind of situations. Comes back into the top lane, eats a few spells back and forth, but in general, I think he'll be able to find some farm now. He has been falling behind of late. We're looking at him actually sitting at 6 and 0 compared to that of the 37 on Eternal Envy, and I think that's pretty much telling the story about how this lane has worked out for the top.
Yeah, and way too sexy rotated. Oh, we missed the kill on bottom.
They popped off the Chronosphere for it, but we do see Concoction charging up here for Bone 7. Wants to, lock him in place. The cogs do come out. Can they telekinesis him right on out of it? They indeed do, but get knocked off by those cogs just a little bit here. Big Illuminate coming out through. Fog dropping to low life, dies to the acid spray alone. Bone 7, will they even be able to get that kill? No. They right-click him down. Pilaite getting a second return kill. And Way Too Sexy will be able to surge on away.
He has a haste, though. He has a haste.
Wow, that will allow him to close the distance. Way Too only has rank 1 surge, and now Arise right in position. Just needs to go with Shockwave. I don't even think he needs the polarity here, but with the TBs coming on in, very safe and sorry. Just should burst him down real quick, put him in the trees, now drop him down. Nice stun coming from Snaking. He does have his ultimate. Ball Lightning coming on through, but he does get hit by the Illuminate. Either way, brings down the Bane and is now looking for Arise. Don't think he has enough mana for it, but with the 10 stick charges, that might actually be less than true. Bottle coming on through. No, he's not going to go in by himself, that's for sure.
Wow, strong play by Kaipi, effectively killing the whole the dual lane and the rotating Darkseer. And yeah, gotta say impressive. And they overextended themselves. They were so desperate to killing the Clockwork, and as soon as he popped the cogs, they should have just retreated because there was no way they could have actually killed him. They committed too long, and yeah, they gave away too much.
Yeah, especially the supports in the back end were just getting drained so hard. Alchemist, Alchemist Acid probably wasn't a factor there, but it's just the damage that they were taking. They got bounced back by the cogs a couple times. They were taking a lot of right clicks. Once the Illuminate came on through, it sealed a lot of their fate. And we do see Alvain's really looking up for Kaipi right now. Eternal Envy did get that kill with the help of his support on the Lone Druid. They committed the Chronosphere, and actually, yeah, with that, forced out another resummon for Aoi 2000. So, really, in that position there, they were able to get that solo kill, big solo experience, and now he has a Morbid Mask. It looks like he's actually going to be rushing up a Mask of Madness, which, of course, will be probably one of the highest damage per second items as far as cost goes. And from there, the only thing he has to really worry about is his health pool. He hasn't ranked up his backtrack. He doesn't have much HP flat to work with. So he does have to be extremely cautious about when he chooses to use that and pretty much make sure that making him have 30% less effective HP. But when he finds the right opportunity and gets a lot of bashes off and uses the lifesteal effectively, it can be a great early item.
Yeah, I think he knows that he will get some space until, like, I don't know, maybe 20 minutes to free farm actually, and the Mask of Madness does help him farming in the jungle more effectively because you can life lead yourself up there, and I think he knows also that he has to go for the early aggressive build because in the late game I actually see Dignitas making a comeback. They do have that potential with the Darkseer wall, and the Alchemist always will get some sort of farm, and Aoi automatically, the bear is just so strong in the late game. So he knows that they have to end this by the 30-40 minute mark.
Yeah, I guess in technicality, that's a true point to make. I kind of feel like it comes down to initiation. Actually, we do see, speaking of, Bone7 locking in with a hook shot on the way to, but he is going to be able to walk away, and instead, there goes the Telekinesis, there goes the Concoction on top of Snake King, just slowing him up like crazy. He's going to take the max stun, and that's going to be an easy kill for the Alchemist there. So, in over his head, 100%. Really wanted to get the pick on Darkseer, but could not latch him in the cogs.
Yeah, nice pickoff. They really need those, but it just goes to show that they actually needed 4 heroes to kill 1 Clockwork, and yeah, I think even Sneaking TP'd in, so this just goes to show how far Kaipi is ahead.
Yeah, bad position for Arise right here, but he does have that TP scroll. Will probably be forced to use it now that he's actually rotating around in a direction where they don't have anybody that can really disrupt his intentions. The interesting thing is about vision. Right now, the Dire have absolutely nothing as far as observer wards go, so those kind of hookshot picks and other opportunities can actually come on through relatively easily. Bone7 will have the vision advantage, and from there we'll be able to get the initiations off that Dignitas doesn't see coming. And if they're slow to respond, if they get RP'd or if they get chronoed in a teamfight scenario that they just don't predict because of the lack of vision, they're going to be in a really sore spot.
Yeah, and the lack of vision is really something crucial right now. They're playing super defensively. There's 5 heroes in their own jungle. They basically have nowhere to go, and they're just being forced to farm S4. And Sneaking might... Oh, no, he's safe, I thought I heard a TP, but it was a different lane. Sneaking, he's really far off his Orchid. He doesn't even have... Yeah, now he has Treads. Actually, Treads? Yeah, he should have Treads by now. But he's so far off his Orchid, and he really needs that to get some solo kills. Right now, he's just a walking mana pool.
Comparing that to the Magnus, who has the Arcanes and is only about 300 gold away from that Blink Dagger. That's going to be extremely big. Once they get that Blink Dagger up, I gotta say that Kaipi have all the potential they need to take the fight to Dignitas, to go in underneath towers, to kill those that are defending the tower, and then kill the tower itself. I mean, they can pretty much engage on anything when they have all 5 ultimates up, and that's going to be a really, really big factor as we see coming on further. The one thing is Blinding Light is extremely good against Lone Druid and Alchemist, both of them relying so much on their right clicks to get things done in the team fight. So a well-placed Blinding Light, and then going of course with their hard lockdown disables of the Chrono and the Reverse Polarity, they're going to actually be able to pretty much win any fair matchup, and it's going to be on Dignitas to make sure those matchups aren't fair, that they're turtling until they find an opportunity to get a pick off where they have a numbers advantage.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised that Kaipi is not forcing the issue. They could actually just group up as 5 and force down at least one tier 1 tower. There's nothing... Dignitas cannot take it head on 5.5 fight.
Pasted Blink Magnus coming on in, looking for apparently way too sexy, but pretty much whatever he can get. They have, again, the Aziz Observer Wards here, but wow, that Skewer was really, really off the mark. Either way, the hookshot locking way too in. Just a Shockwave will be enough to set up that damage. Arise still has that Blink RP. Going to be looking to use it here, but it's a 3-man RP coming on out. Bone7 stays alive, and they're going to be able to turn this around with Eternal Envy getting the Chrono. The Illuminate hits onto Fog. They're going to burst him down for sure. Snake King's their next target, but he does get the ball lightning out. Either way, Universe should be dropping out here. The Fiend's Grip to guarantee it. Wow, that was exactly what they needed. Unfortunately, Clockwork still fell. It looks like Alchemist was able to finish him off with the Acid Spray damage over time.
Yeah, that was really, really amazing play right there. And Sneaking actually dodged the RP with his wall lightning. He was just standing outside, but then the Chronosphere caught him. And
sure.
Also, this just goes to show how strong the Keeper of the Light is. This was basically a, well, Void was free farming, then he could TP in and he could just pop the Chronosphere, and if that hadn't happened, that would have not actually been that good of a fight, because even though they had the RP, there was just no damage follow-up. Exactly. Yeah, 100%. They need to get a little bit more damage there. The Face of Void has that Mask of Madness, but a few more ranks in Empower could go a long, long way. Instead of going for a Battle Fury build, obviously, he doesn't want to go for that extensive of farm intentions. But if you look at it and just go for the Empower and the Cleave damage of 50% with the bonus base damage of 50%, combining that together inside a Chronosphere, when you can clump them up together with a solid RP like that, Arise could 100% set up Eternal Envy to be the sole damage dealer that they need. They won't need anything beyond that, as long as Eternal Envy has Agility Treads active and the Mask of Madness. We do see a nice flank. Actually could technically catch out the Courier, but I don't think they're going to actually intersect there. Either way, Pilotti trying to turn it around, goes for the Blinding Light. They actually see... Oh, that was a good attempt, but it was blind,
and unfortunately, obviously not going to connect. Arise really thought that he could nab that amazing. If he did land it, that blink skewer would have been amazing, but no, just a little bit too ambitious there.
Yeah, but this was also a nice attempt by Dignitas. They just tried to make something happen, and
do you feel they have really ground to stand on, though? Like, going in that position, they had 2 people behind a tier 1 tower up against 5 heroes that have better team fight, and the reverse polarity just came up. Like, do you think they could have even done anything?
They can actually do something, but they just need more vision. If they had known that it was actually 4 heroes against them, they probably wouldn't have gone in there. But they were expecting to be. I think they were actually expecting Arise to be alone, and they can definitely pick him off with the Storm and the Alchemist. They can, if they channel their stuns right, they can pick him off and easily kill him. He's not that tanky just yet.
Yeah, I mean, that's true if it was a solo pickup, but it just doesn't seem like Kaipi's playing that kind of style. Right now, they're even smoking themselves up as 3. Meanwhile, Storm Spirit sitting here was using his Invis rune and was just kind of hanging out by himself. So you see that kind of position, and with these 2 ultis, the reverse polarity, the Fiend's Grip, this is an easy opportunity to pick off Universe. His ultimate's about to expire, and from there, the movement speed that he had previously acquired is gone. There is no chance for him to get out of this. They start off with the Fiend's Grip. They have the Collox to lock him in as well. Don't even have to commit that, as they just bring him down so darn swiftly. And yeah, that's just easy, good roaming, good mentality there, and the fact that Alchemist just is trying to survive, trying to find the farm that he's been lacking based on the harsh laning phase. He was under pressure in the lane. He got so many less CS compared to Eternal Envy, and now he's feeling that. So he's farming more desperately, and in that situation, he's losing out comparatively. We do see on mid lane, they do come in, reverse polarity onto Snaking. They should be able to bring it down, but Shockwave stolen, being able to burst down the Keeper of the Light. There is a nice ball of lightning. They get the Storm Spirit out, but Fog, of course, will fall in a moment.
Yeah, and this is not looking good for Dignitas. They are just getting picked off everywhere, basically, and this also due to the lack of vision. They had 2 wards up, but those 2 wards are a bit too generic, if you think about it, and any pro team will definitely try to avoid those crucial rune spots to walk by, and if they do smoke, they're smoking behind their tower or behind even in their base, and I would have preferred an aggressive ward when, like, down here or down here, just to see those smokes coming out. Or
we do see initiation, big hooks coming out, and that's just with the rocket flare vision, with the observer ward knowing his general area. They just have control of this map. Kaipi, I gotta say, their supports are setting it up so that Bone7 can do these kind of plays where he rocket flares in the general area he knows somebody is, and then from there paints a bullseye on their back, just marks them up and brings them down. So great initiation, and now we see a 12-4 in favor of Kaipi.
Yeah, and the gold graph just goes to show how strong Kaipi is currently. And if you check the items as well, they're so far ahead.
Fogged, no! Smoke Gang comes on through. Fogged doesn't have any way of getting out of the space of mobility, but Telekinesis actually stuns after the Fiend's Grip comes on through, but he steals the Fiend's Grip back. Arise has to interrupt with the skewer. Zizou being pounded on by Universe, but he's so darn slow with only a rank 1 ulti. Is it enough? No, the Nightmare is... Oh, the Rocket Flare! Oh my gosh, Universe is gonna bring him down. Oh, that is so sad to see. Oh my goodness. We'll mention it after the fight is over. Right now, Eternal Envy coming on in with the concoction down. He's gonna have to do something here to Universe, looking for some time locks, being able to burst him down, but actually gets trapped outside the cogs, vacuumed on in, helps out his ally jumping on into it. Now Universe will be completely roasted. There's a reverse polarity committed on way 2. Their team fight's over, so they might as well. Even the Chronosphere, wow, they really want this Darkseer, and they're gonna get him here. So Face of the Void gets a 2nd kill. They do get a steal, however, onto Fog Skewer, but yeah, what I was talking about there, oh my goodness, of course, Fiend's Grip was stolen by the Rubik. It's a great, very easy channel spell to steal, so they threw it back in the other direction. But Bane almost got out. He got the Nightmare off on the Alchemist, but the problem was the Rocket Flare coming on in. Clockwork just wanted to send a little bit of damage that direction, and that damage was enough to interrupt the Bane's Nightmare, which of course sealed his fate there. Bone7 initiating down on Avi 2000 on the bottom lane. There's that time walk to jump on into it, looking for those Mask of Madness. Right clicks going on to Aoi. He's going to get bursted hardcore, despite how tanky he is. We do see, however, Snaking doing what he can. Aoi, oh my gosh, he got the Entangle proc. Eternal Envy won't be able to net the kill, instead gets locked down himself. Snaking dueling out with Zizou and Pylite, but it looks like he will just fall back from here. But that fight, actually, they initiated pretty long range. I still felt that Kaipi were in such control that it didn't matter, but I obviously was wrong. One good Entangle proc coming on through, and they had the reinforcements, Dignitas answering back with a couple kills.
This is a huge setback, actually. If you look at the graphs, it's just going, especially XP wise, that's just being pulled down, and they might actually get more.
Yeah,
of this.
Snaking going on top of Rise. They get the Fiend's Grip out onto Snaking, though. There's the Concoction trying to lock him in place. He cannot skewer out of this just yet. They get the stuns, and there's the damage. Fog skewering them all together, clustering them up, and now only one remains. Pylite on the run to the east, but without a TB scroll, he's just buying time. Here, he gets dropped down, and they go for the tier 1 with no trouble, really.
Yeah, wow, I gotta say, we mentioned beforehand that, who was it? Envy, yeah, he used the RP on just a solo, way too sexy. And if he actually had that RP, that drone sphere up,
Chrono, yeah.
He could have actually made some, gotten a kill on Aoi here, but no, he didn't, and yeah, this cost them big time.
Also, I gotta say, a little bit has to do with luck. I mean, he didn't get a time. He might have gotten a couple time locks when he was right-clicking him down when he wasn't moving in the cogs. But after the fact, when I was on the run, not a single time lock came on through. So he only needed like one more right-click to lock him down. Yeah. And with a Mask of Madness, that's a very short time frame, just milliseconds of distance. But with that Entangle proc coming right when it did, Aoi 2000 was able to get away, and from there the cavalry arrived. Everybody jumped down to bottom where they have their only lane with a tier 1 tower remaining, so they were able to reinforce that position a lot better than pretty much anywhere on the map, and that was from there a fight that Kaipi just couldn't take.
Yeah, and Universe now finished up his Shadow Blade. Oh, Rise! Wow, that looked like he actually do that. Yeah, Universe is his Shadow Blade, and this actually makes him capable of ganging, although he's on top of a ward, so he will be spotted out.
This will be interesting. Concoction coming on through, double damage on Universe, but he doesn't want to go in too deep. Instead, Bone 7 turns it around, but he's actually messing with the bear. Right now, up against a double damage hero, it's really difficult. Snaking locked in with that. Oh, he gets out! The Ball Lightning avoids it now. 4-man Chronosphere, big Illuminate coming on through, the RP on the other side of it. Orion puts him right back on into it. Concoction coming out from Universe. Is it going to be enough? Shadow Blade, but he's just going to get disabled right here. They're going to at least be able to lock him down with this mana leak to lock him in place. They're going to be able to finish it off. Now cleaning up the other 2 kills they would have preferred to do, but nevertheless, Kaipi just showing such strength with this lineup.
Wow, such a clutch Chronosphere. Caught 3 heroes on the edge, and I think it was also a 3-man Illuminate follow-up, so big damage coming out from them, and they can actually take this tower down just with ease, because there's nothing that can Dignitas can do about it, and yeah.
Yeah, it seemed like Bone 7 was going on a little bit deep. I mean, there was double damage on Universe with that Shadow Blade. A lot of right-click potential there, but he was in communication with his team constantly. He knew what they had available, and he just wanted to bait the enemy into it, even at possibly at the cost of his own life. But no, he was able to survive very, very effectively. Now, picks up that Blade Mail, looks for his Drums of Endurance, and he's going to be in a great spot to make even more aggressive plays like that. Tell me, though, what do you think about the Force Staff on the Magnus?
I like it. Rise is one of those plays that actually picks it up quite often or regularly. It's one of his standard builds, and I really like this because you can't really assure a perfect RP just because you have a Blink Dagger, and that additional mobility just does. It suits his playstyle as well. He's so aggressive. He likes to jump in, and if you get hit especially by something like a telekinesis that can actually screw with you, an additional mobility item is really necessary.
Yeah, if you take any type of player-based damage, if you try to go on through an Acid Spray or just you have a Ball Lightning Storm Spray go over the top, it's one of those things that can completely destroy your initiation potential if you're relying solely on the Blink for that. It forces you to use your skewer aggressively, but this kind of gives him a half a skewer for free instantaneously with that Force Staff, and in some situations, I don't think, like, there will be plenty of fights where I don't think he has to use it at all, and it's just a little bit of a extra perk. But in this situation, there will be potentially times where it makes or breaks a team fight, and that's a pretty big deal. We do see a quick Roche coming on through, though. They popped off Alchemist's ultimate to be able to burst it down as fast as possible, and they do get the Aegis on the Storm Spirit, so he has another full health and mana bar to work with, which could be extremely powerful if he doesn't get locked down too hard.
Yeah, Sneaking is currently the playmaker. He's dealing so much damage by just jumping around, and he's always on the right target. He's always bursting down the supports, knowing that he can take them out immediately, and if he lives twice, he can make something happen, definitely.
Yeah. This is the most obvious smoke of all time, though. They actually Arise, right-click down an Observer Ward with the Geometry Sight that was carried up by his smoked-up support. Pylite has the gem, and they knew that already. So when Arise is right-clicking down wards, and he's the only one right there, you can pretty much figure there's an army behind him. So in this case, they're just all huddled up in their base, not going to even mess with that whatsoever. But we do see Storm making his way towards his Orchid. In that situation, who do you think is better to Orchid up, the Magnus or the Faceless Void?
It's actually difficult to say. At this point, I actually say the Void, because actually I can't really decide. Because both heroes have so crucial spells, and they set up for the supports, and yeah.
Yeah, I honestly, yeah, that's why I asked you, is because it's a really tough call. Between those two, they're both very, very big. Bane is also really big, but only at certain time frames that I feel they already have the tools to deal with. They have pretty good stuns. They just have to see it coming. Even a simple vacuum could screw him over. So I really, really think that the target party should be those AoE initiators. Universe comes on in with that concoction. We'll find out Eternal Envy at the last second. Will he be followed? Oh no, he takes the strike. Is going to lose out on that a little bit here. Coming out of Invis in just a moment. But as far as the Radiant Vision, they don't have any idea. He barely got out of vision range of Clockwork there. So that was pretty close, but nevertheless, they're in a fine position to move on forward. Right now, Eternal Envy does have a BKB, so I guess the Orchid conversation doesn't really matter too much in that sense, because he could always dispel the effect by just popping off Magic Immunity there. In that case, of course, you have to opt for that Magnus, but Face of Void's still very, very scary and getting more so by the minute. We see he has BKB, Maelstrom, and Mask of Madness, dishing out a huge amount of... He has bonus attack speed of, I think, with Agi Treads... I don't know, it's hard to say exactly, but you're probably looking at around 185 bonus attack speed. And that's nothing to sneeze at. That's definitely something that'll increase his DPS potential in the Chronosphere immensely. And with this Empower being maxed out, Arise being recalled up top so they can push this tower, all they have to do is just make sure Eternal Envy always has that Empower. And suddenly, even a halfway decent initiation, once that BKB is up, Eternal Envy can just cleave through everything here.
Yeah, and he doesn't really care whether the Aoi is really tanky or not. He just pounds through him, and yeah, Dignitas know that. That's why they can't really fight at the tier 2 tower. They really need to fight in their own base and on their own terms. And looks like they're trying to do something on the mid lane, but they should probably not. They're in a bad position right here. They might. No, they're safe, but still. Yeah, still a lack of vision coming out from Dignitas. I mean, of course, they know that Kaipi is in their own jungle, but still. If they had just a few more wards up, they could play a bit more safer and, yeah, play around a bit more with the map.
Yeah. Mechanisms up for both sides. The fight will be extended slightly longer, but in that sense, I feel that Dignitas is actually more favorable for the longer engagements, along with the Wall of Replica and things along those lines. They can dish out more damage as it goes on. As soon as the Chrono's down and that reverse polarity, Kaipi, they're down to right clicks. They don't really have that much more to bring to the table, whereas there's more tools, shorter cooldowns, and so on and so forth for Dignitas. Along with that, they have higher mitigation values, especially when Battlecry is up on the Lone Druid Bear. He has so much armor that a simple 250 HP boost will make sure that he has the most effective HP ever. Like that really puts the 250 to work. And in that stage, of course, I mean, it's not so true for Rubik, who only has 3 armor, but for a Storm Spirit, just having a little bit of an extra HP value, just getting that extra little chunk of HP to work with, it allows them to ball that much more because they'll survive through a chain of disables and so on and so forth. So I really, really think that if Way Too Sexy can get a mechanism off in the next big fight, that they still have a chance to turn things around. It really, as I said before, it comes down to initiation, and it comes down to positioning for Dignitas. They cannot cluster up. They have to have Rubik on the outside. They have to have some people that can jump on in and come to the aid of their allies very, very swiftly. But I still think Dignitas is in a position to try to counter-initiate. They have the rank 2 wall, they have the mechanism, and I really, really think that they're not 100% out of this game.
Yeah, I totally agree. With the Darkseer on your team, you're never out of it, out of a game, because your team fight potential is so strong, and you can turn the strength of your enemy. You can turn it against them, and pile on that a Rubik who can seal every spell that is crucial. Oh man, they can definitely turn something around, and yeah. Especially, yeah, Aoi is also building up on crucial items. He has an armlet going, and he's opting for an MKB. He already has 1 Javelin, so he will hit hard. I guess he's expect. Oh?
He does have a belt of strength on the Bear, so it's going to be Basher, which it's a debatable pick, but for right now, of course, until the Butterfly comes out, it's not going to be an issue. He definitely wants to get those disables and lockdown on, and it'll be pretty good. But the Orchid will be up for the Storm Spirit as well, which will be really nice.
Yeah, definitely. I actually would prefer something like a Maelstrom for Aoi, because his attack speed on the Bear is not that fast just yet.
Sure.
But that, again, that's just...
You know, when you're coming from behind, though, you might as well pray about it and try to see if you can actually get those RNG procs to come on through. So he's lucked out occasionally, and he's just trying to double the opportunity there, because of course the Entangling Claws themselves are 20%, so adding on a 25% chance to bash, you really, I mean, they only have one person to lock down. They have one person to focus. This single target carry of his, oh my gosh, that initiation. He was trying to go for a force blink skewer pickoff, and oh my gosh, it almost worked. That Rhino was just like flying across the map. He was practically a Storm Spirit himself.
Yeah, that just goes to show how how Arise, what kind of player he is. He likes to be that aggressive. He likes to go for those bold and ballsy kind of movements, and yeah, that's why the Force Staff really fits his playstyle.
Yeah, I mean, we see that for the entire team as a whole, but right now, Bone7 catching off on Fog, skewering out, though. Fog actually might get out of this. He dodges out the second skewer. He does, however, get locked in place with a gigantic Cogs stolen by himself. Nevertheless, there's really no hope for them. They're just going for a little bit of base trade right now. Tier 1 for Tier 1 is looking to be the exchange, but now that they've taken their own Tier 1, they're going in for the TBs. They're all staggered, but they could care less. They're coming on in, trying to jump on into this, get the Chrono onto Owie, trying to lock him in place here. The Cogs will follow after the Chrono expires, and Owie should be locked down here. Yeah, they get the kill on it, but the Bear does help bring down the Tier 1, so he loses his life, but since the Bear isn't on cooldown, he actually gained more gold than he lost. It's just a question of whether or not that's going to be worth it in the next few seconds, as they're just doing so much damage.
Well, he baited out a Chronosphere, and without the Chronosphere, I don't think that Kaipi can actually try to attempt high ground. With the Chronosphere, with the threat of the Chronosphere, they could have gone just for the Tier 3 tower mid, I think, or at least pressured it at some point, and yeah, but still, he could have actually moved it. Oh, top lane.
Yeah, on top, going on Universe, gets the bash proc, and that's going to lock him down. But the Surge does come through. And Eternal Envy doesn't have anything else to really close the distance because Universe so darn quick. We do see actually Snaking coming on. Eternal Envy gets the... Oh my gosh, they actually are going to be able to bring him down. They got the Orchid when his BKB was on cooldown. They take the tower. They take the Eternal Envy Faceless Void. 403 gold bounty, and more importantly, that's a level 17 hero kill. Split among 3. They are bouncing back pretty hardcore.
Huge play by Sneaking, knowing that he can just jump in there, doesn't really care about the Tier 1 tower, and just yeah, as you mentioned, that Orchid after the BKB was really yeah, crucial and clutch.
So they force out a BKB charge, they get a kill on him himself, and of course they just get their levels a little bit more stable. So in that position, that was nothing but good. Of course they did lose their Tier 2, but they're going to lose those towers anyway. They don't really have as much ground to stand on, but by picking off Eternal Envy in that time frame where he was very, very limited in his utility, it makes it so that he's going to be less effective in fights. 9-second BKB, obviously, less effective. We do see a pick, though, way too caught in Cogs, and pretty much knows his fate, already committing every spell in the book to try to lock it down. So Rise is up in this, going up against Owie, looking to go for that ultimate, but not just yet, gets entangled up instead, and they're snaking to jump on in it, finish it off. He does have that Orchid. Will it be enough damage? It is, but here comes the Chronosphere, dropping big damage down. Eternal Envy bashed on up, but looking to finish people off here. Fog is going to drop down. Eternal Envy going in for the kill, just goes for the Bear instead. Looking for a bash, not going to find it though. Spear Bear just too quick on its feet.
Big plays by both sides. Arise knowing that he actually, if he had used that RP, he might have survived, but still, good play by them. And then Zizou immediately fiends gripping up Sneaking as soon as he jumped in, and good response by Fogged as well, just skewering in. He stole the skewer, skewered out, and still caught Arise. So again, both sides playing very nicely here, and showing how, yeah, the high individual skill.
Yeah, trying to do their best in the worst of situations, but still Dignitas trailing behind extremely. Down by, what, 11 kills now? That's pretty much, they almost have half of what Kaipi have. So in that kind of situation, they are so darn behind, and Roche is going to be responding in just over a minute. So in that position, I really, really feel that since Kaipi didn't commit that reverse polarity there, they're going to be able to contest this Roshan very directly, and there's not much Dignitas have to show for it.
Yeah, but well, the wall will be up.
The wall will be great. I'm not saying the wall will be bad. I'm just saying that in that position, they're still up against this empowered Faceless Void with a freaking Mjolnir. And if one big disable will inevitably end up with half the people disabled will be killed, just straight up.
But it looks like Kaipi wants to pick up someone first before they go into the Roche pit. And if they do, then definitely Dignitas cannot contest this. They might actually pick off Sneaking, although Sneaking is probably the toughest hero to bring down.
They have the
Fiends immediately have to lock their hit. Oh yeah, they do.
Yeah, they have to go. Zizou right now. Oh, reverse polarity, gonna miss. Lightning flying through magnets, not gonna work. And in that situation, yeah, the snaking, those reflexes, man, just able to jump on out of that situation at the last possible second. Really, really clutch. But he survives, and they weren't really going for that pick, which is interesting. You don't generally see a 5v5 lineup going for those little pickoffs as often in the jungle, going for the smoke ganks, but it just shows Kaipi's mindset, where they really are willing to take every fight with an advantage so that they don't have to leave anything to chance.
Yeah, especially with a Void. I mean, how often do you see a Void going smoked up and just trying to pick off even supports and heroes like that? But yeah.
Oh, another attempt to snipe it up.
Fight, even without the RP.
Rocket Flare will scout it out, though. They should not go for this. They have to run. Way 2, gonna surge himself first. Actually, fast proc Roshan on the bear. He's keeping him in place, and yeah, Aui's gonna stay here. Instead, there is gonna be a hookshot missed onto Way 2. There is gonna be Universe. The Blade Mail does pop off, though. They don't want to chunk into that until they have to. They are just gonna bash it up. Big damage coming through. He cogs them in. Bone 7 on the run, but he still gets dropped down. Telekinesis on Eternal Envy. Hasn't popped that BKB just yet. Dignitas, though. Oh, big skewer. Locking in Aoi 2000 into the Chronosphere. Way 2 caught on in that, but Fog steals it as well. He throws down another Chronosphere. Doesn't hurt the face of Void, but Eternal Envy being right-clicked on the back end. Gets jumped on through. He time walks out of it, and they all are on the run. This is turned around completely in favor of Dignitas. Oh my goodness. They really made this work for them. They even get a gem on the ground if they happen to see it. Oh my goodness, what a fight.
Amazing fight, and I gotta say, I think Eternal Envy, when he was too hesitant on his Chronosphere, he was just constantly checking, do I get way too sexy in this Chronosphere or not? And way too sexy was always just standing on the edge. He was standing on this cliff the whole time, and knowing that he can actually bait Envy in not putting down the Chronosphere, and he succeeded. And Fox stolen Chronosphere actually almost cost him the fight, because Aoi was still caught in there, and if Envy had gotten the attacks off on him, he would have gone down. But overall, great fight by Dignitas.
Yeah, but the smart thing is he left room to bring down Eternal Envy. The bubble was like right here, and like Eternal Envy, the Faceless Void, was right on the outside of it. So right on the lip of it, they were able to keep people just dishing out damage onto his backside, and they were able to bring him down because of the fact that he wasn't safe inside his bubble of time. I mean, the Faceless Void is the only one that can move around in either Chronosphere. I don't think the Rubik can, and I don't think it would matter in this situation. But yeah, it really means that the Faceless Void had to. Pretty much all Fog was looking to do was Chrono everybody that wasn't Eternal Envy on the opposite team, and he managed that. Honestly, they had a great period of DPS time where Eternal Envy had to, instead of having the option just stand his ground, he had to flee immediately, and from there, it was pretty easy cleanup, because of course the big ultimates were popped, and their main damage dealer was on the run. From there, Dignitas just cleans it up, and they, honestly, one thing I haven't highlighted on is they have a great team lineup, with a Phase Boots Rabid Bear, with a Storm Spirit with any real amount of mana pool, and with an Alchemist with his ultimate up. They can just go to all lengths of the battlefield to bring people down.
Yeah, now even all those necessary items are coming up. There's a Vladimir's, there's an Assault Cuirass, there's even a Shiva's God, so many auras, and if they keep stacking on those items with those small engagements where they actually do get the better trade-off, they will definitely look to be on top, and the gold graph is dipping.
Oh, extremely.
Just sitting on 2K.
And experience even worse. Like, they got Roche along with that, so that's an extra set of a couple hero kills at the very least. Like, they dominated that engagement very surprisingly, much to my surprise, honestly. They just really made it work for them, and it's all about the fact that Kaipi were clutched in that spot. Eternal Envy's Chrono wasn't the best because he caught a couple of his allies, and Fog capitalized on it by putting that exact same Chrono just a little bit further to the west, and made sure that Eternal Envy was vulnerable as well. It was really good.
Yeah, it was really good play overall, and also the fact that RP was down did not help them.
No, not at all.
Kaipi could have actually held, well, I think he could have gotten a 2-man RP or 3-man RP, so would have been a better engagement with that, but now they have it, and they, sneaking.
Yeah, sneaking, jumping on top of Bone 7. Won't be able to get on out of here. Pop some Desperation cooldowns, but can't drum, can't Blade Mail, not going to change it. We do see the Reverse Polarity coming on through, dropping down on 2. The Wall Replica comes out as well. They do not have another mechanism, though. Concoction charging up, but Aoi will fall before it comes on through. Eternal Envy does get stunned up there, turning around with a lot of right-click damage. They might be able to finish it off. They will manage it. They bring down Eternal Envy, and now Snaking has to pop off that Aegis. It's going to be only 2 people left standing. There's going to be the Enfeeble out on Alchemist. I'm not sure if they can keep on going, but they certainly want to. Big damage coming out for Snaking's Ball Lightning, and Arise is already dead with that Orchid on top of him here. The Concoction charging, but no! Gets obliterated by Zizu's Brain Sap, and from here, Snaking's out of mana. He is then going to be out of life in a few short swings of that mighty mace of Eternal Envy.
Yeah, Sneaky was a bit too greedy at the end. I mean, he jumped 3 times after the Magnus, but the third time was actually unnecessary because the amplified damage from the Orchid would definitely have popped him. So a bit too greedy overall, but still a great fight from Dignitas actually. They survived the Chronosphere and RP for like, I don't know, 20 seconds until they actually went down. And they even managed to kill Eternal Envy after that. And
I mean, I think they're very, very glad that they forced Eternal Envy's buyback out, but still, when you count the Aegis, that's 6 hero deaths in total.
Oh,
like,
that's true.
that was just so many heroes lost in the end, and that's obviously not something you're looking for when you're not prepared to really, really take it to the late game just yet. I mean, I agree with what you said, your assessment of Alchemist plus Lone Druid, greater than Faceless Void, but we're not in a vacuum here. There's things that can counteract what we're looking at. We have the Fiends get the Reverse Polarity and the Empower Cleave dealing with Darkseer's illusions, and in that situation, we also have to look at the fact that Lone Druid isn't that farmed yet. He has the Basher, but he doesn't have the attack speed to back it up. He has a Ghost Scepter and a Vladimir's on himself, so he'll survive. But beyond surviving, he's really relying on his allies to do the damage that he's setting up with that Bash Disable. So what do we have on the Alchemist? We have a friggin' Assault Karas, a Shadow Blade, and possibly a Basher of his own. It kind of feels like the damage is spread very, very thin among Dignitas, and they don't have one great hero to focus it all on.
That's true. That's true. But I think they will get there if they keep taking Kaipi on head on. They've been actually managing quite well, even though Kaipi had a big advantage early on, and it's quite equal at this point, gold and experience-wise. Even though experience is spiking once again because of that big team fight, as you mentioned, they effectively lost 6 heroes or 6 lives, and looks like the Kaipi is smoking. I don't know if they can actually do something because currently Dignitas is clumped up as 4 in their own jungle.
Yeah, but they do have the BKB now up on a rise, and that's huge, honestly. The Orchid is no longer going to be a major thorn in the side of a rise. He's going to be able to jump on in and pretty much have his way with the opposition. If Dignitas is poorly positioned and unsuspecting, Bone 7, Rocket, and Hookshot will set it up so that a rise can pretty much pin in anybody from there. The BKB interrupting that Orchid or just dispelling it or avoiding it, whatever it may be, is really setting it up so that Snaking is becoming more and more useless in these engagements here. He has a Scythe of Ice, and he has the Orchid, and he has a heck of a lot of magic, kind of hybrid magic physical damage, along with the fact that he has plenty of mana to use it with. But in this spot, if he can't Vortex, Sheep, or Orchid somebody because they're BKB'd for 9 seconds, then what the heck is he going to accomplish in the middle of a fight?
Yeah, that's true, and I think the last fight showed a bit the weakness of the Storm Pick at this point. I mean, he of course is a nuisance with all this magical damage and his disables and whatnot, but when his team is gone, there's basically nothing he can do against 1 or 2 heroes because he was completely by himself. He was almost out of mana at some point, and yeah, a bit helpless, and he's really squishy. 2 shockwaves and he's almost, well, not almost down, but he's really low on HP. Well, not 2 shockwaves just, but still he is really squishy.
Yeah.
He needs a BKB himself.
I think that would definitely benefit him quite a bit. I mean, there's still plenty of things that would lock him down with it. I mean, the cogs will still... I mean, actually, if he's balling far enough, then the cogs won't connect. Never mind. So, but, no, I don't know. It just doesn't seem like he would really avoid too much with BKB. I mean, listing it all out, there's some magic damage here and there. He'll be able to get out of the blinding light of the Keeper of the Light. But most of the stuff pierces magic immunity. The Kaipi has a really solid lineup. There's not one little thing that they can deal with to counter. They have a lot of physical damage. They have the Reverse Polarity, Chronosphere, and Hookshot, and as well as that. Oh wow, Rise! Can he get his BKB? Yeah, he's gonna be fine here. They actually were not ready to initiate yet. Bone 7 jumping on into Universe, gonna be able to pin him inside the cogs. They get the ultimate off on Snaking, and this is terrible. Dignitas cannot afford to start off 1 man short. Bone 7. There's gonna be a lot of damage coming out from Aoi 2000's Bear. Universe should get out of here, but Eternal Envy turns it around onto Aoi 2000, right-clicking away. There is that Mask of Madness pop. They get the Reverse Polarity. RI is dropping down Universe from that high ground there, getting a great opportunity. Ghost Scepter pops off on Aoi, but that's his last leg. Bone 7, if he just could get the cogs, no, they get the Chronosphere instead. Dropping it down onto 3, fogged and way to all caught in place, and they're going to be able to finish it all off here. Chrono stolen, but Eternal Envy could care less. Drops it down, and even the tower is disabled for the moment. Can just wail away on the creeps, whatever he wants. He doesn't have Empower, never mind. Rise, refreshing it here, but getting a triple kill, that might be the nail in the coffin here, as they can easily take the tier 3, and even with the fortification, I think they're comfortable to take Rex.
Huge mistake by sneaking there, jumping out of the base, completely overextending himself, and oh, Another hook shot.
Yeah, just trying to dissuade them right now. Actually gets bashed and caught him with the bear. That is a cage match he doesn't really want to take here. And Boat 7 taking a lot of hits. Will he be dropped down in time? Yes. With Rubik's Braid Bolt, that will finish it off. But Aoi 2000 about to lose his bear for the second time. Has to be careful because he doesn't have that thing up for 80 seconds. Racks are going to be forfeit. They cannot hold the line any longer. They're trying their delay tactics. It's just not working. And in this spot here, it's too much. They're going to fall back, but they have lost a lot already.
Yeah, as I was saying, big mistake by sneaking right there, jumping out, and I think he got mana leaked halfway through. That's why he lost his mana so fast, and he was stunned. I think he was stunned for a short time, and then he got Fiend's Grip. I'm not too sure. I don't quite remember.
Yeah, he didn't have any mana left when he got Fiend's Grip, so of course that itself drains mana, and then on top of that, I'm sure the mana leak came on through. Now, if I remember correctly, mechanically, a Ball Lightning will not drain extra mana leak mana. Yeah, I know it's movement, but he's immune, so it wouldn't do that. But just moving around every little bit, it really adds up quickly. And of course, he has a huge mana pool to burn, so percentage-based impact on that would be a big deal. Anyways, once he got locked down, there was the biggest deal was, of course, he was in there just because he wanted to be aggressive, but he committed immediately that 35-second sheep, thinking that they could do more to Magnus than they actually could. They definitely had the element of surprise because, man, it wasn't something that could actually be accomplished. But after that came on through... Oh, wow. On mid lane, way too. Can't surge out just yet. Now he does finally get away from that mana leak. But, yeah, as I was saying, Storm in that position, as soon as he was locked in place with that Fiend's Grip, there was nobody that could possibly interrupt it. There were no stuns anywhere nearby. Everybody else was, like, barely beneath their steps on the tier 3. Whereas, of course, Snake King himself was in a bad spot, and then the Bane was even further away. The Blink Dagger just giving him that level of positioning where he doesn't have to really worry about the retaliation of enemies. I was talking about how many stuns they have to really lock down the Fiend's Grip and make it less of a factor, but Zizou with this Blink now can avoid a lot of those just by being at the right place at the right time.
Yeah, and it's a really necessary item against such an elusive hero such as Storm Spirit. And in past engagements, Sneaking has sort of been hunting Zizou, at least making sure that he can disable him at least once. And now Zizou can be very, very passive, can stand right behind his team.
This is bad. This is really Eternal Envy has Butterfly, has Empower, they Rocket Flare, they know this is all here, and they walk right on into it. They do get some silences off on Palaidi, but here's that Chronosphere. There's also Fiend's Grip onto Snake King, burn him down. Eternal Envy finds his target. Snake King gonna get bashed up, and there's a Reverse Polarity to lock it down. Fog does steal another Chrono, but again, not a big factor. Way too. Pops the Ghost Scepter, dies to Illuminate instead. Universe getting dropped down, and Fog to fall as well, and they might as well call it here. It's just too big. That is a level 24 Faceless Void with a 582 GPM, and about to bring down the Roche.
And yes, they call it. And beautiful play by Kaipi, really beautiful play. And Dignitas, valiant effort, but overall, yeah, this is one engagement where they gave away the Aegis and 5 heroes. That was just too much to handle.
That was atrocious, honestly. The way they engaged it was just not in favorable grounds. They're just pretty much Dignitas every fight. They were looking for a small miracle each and every time, and Fog pulled them out occasionally, but in this position here, you just can't rely on it every fight. So dropping down and taking a battle in the open field, down and being aggressive, down on that bottom tier 2, it wasn't a fight for them to take, even with one of the big cooldowns not being available at the time. So from there, everything kept on going downhill. I mean, they weren't in a great place to start, but from there, yeah, every single fight subsequently kept on going in favor and finding more and more farm for Eternal Envy. He did have to buy back once, but that's just the only thing that delayed was his Butterfly. He already had a BKB and Mjolnir core, so he was in a great position, and this was really their game to lose. And in this position, of course, they didn't. They were able to clean it up very, very nicely with those last couple team fights.
Yeah, and overall, great execution. I gotta say, I think we can contribute this win to their laning stage, where they just I think they outlaned Dignitas completely by just putting up that dual lane against the other dual lane, and knowing that they can actually be very aggressive and getting that early kill on Fog, the first blood, in fact. So yeah, completely outlaned, I think.
Yeah, they definitely, in that position there, I did not expect Clockwork and Capable Light to do as much as they did, but if you think about it, it's just a tri-lane without the carry. You still got the lockdown, you still got the lane control with the Illuminate, and it worked out so darn well. I mean, our Universe had friggin' like 6 CS a handful of minutes in. I mean, just so shut down. And right now, he ends the game with 150. That's an Alchemist. Ending the game with 150 CS, 46 minutes in. That is the fact. It just completely shows and tells the story of how much pressure they were under and how little farm opportunities they had. He went on the lane, he was smoking. He went to pressure out of tower, they were getting pushed in by 5 people with massive team fight and push potential themselves. I mean, it's just constantly they were on the back foot, and they were scrambling to try to pick up the farm.
Definitely, and when they did have some space, they were trying to look for ganks themselves, and you saw that at one point when Alchemist was at level, I don't know, level 8 and was trying to smoke gang with Storm Spirit in the mid lane, and this is also farm time that he could have used, but yeah. I think Dignitas, they did have to make something happen with some sort of smoke gang, but overall, I guess the lineup did not complement that.
Unfortunately, it did not, and they didn't use the Storm Spirit as far as those long-range pickoffs because, really, Kaipi didn't ever venture out by themselves. I mean, maybe warding occasionally, but really, in general, they were always as 3, 4, or 5, and that's not a situation where Storm Spirit's really thriving. So they were able to get good lockdown, good response, and Kaipi in general just took the game away. So well played to them. Moving on into Game 2, because it is a best-of-3 series, part of the We Play .TV group stage 2 C. Yeah, it's Group C of the secondary group stage, and whoever takes the win of this match will go on into the winners bracket, and the other one will, of course, be going down into the losers bracket. Then we'll have the first and fourth decider and the second and third. But thank you guys so much for tuning in to this one here. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the cast. If you did, you can check me out at twitter.com/blazecasting. I'm Blaze, of course. And then here, my co-caster, Skim, you can check him out at twitter.com, Skim Gaming. And do you also have a live stream?
Yeah, on Skim Gaming at Twitch.
Cool.
On Twitch, yeah.
Cool. So, Skim Gaming, Blaze Casting, going on into Game 2 in just a little bit. Thank you guys so much for tuning in.